Attention Vegas, I'm Sergeant Slaughter from the WWE and G.I. Joe, the real American hero. You're watching Solo's Monster Sounds Off podcast right here. Don't touch that dial. And that's in order. Don't make me come looking for you.
Gotcha. Oh, it's Halloween season. I love it. Don't you love it? Got to get festive for the season. Hey, you know what? I got to give a shout out to our good friends at ChatGPT. They put together a good Smackdown tonight. All hail our new AI overlords. Can't be any worse than some of the Smackdowns that we've gotten earlier this year. This was a good episode of Smackdown tonight. This was the second week in a row that the show had a little bit of a different feel to it. You could see that certain changes are being made. Hopefully more changes will be made in the weeks to come. There's still much work to be done, but they closed tonight's show with a big angle because we had Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre in an impromptu match that was not announced coming into the show. And we don't know if it was for the WWE Championship or not. Even the announcers were wondering, is this for the WWE Championship? That was never clarified. That was by design. But what we had here was supposed to be a number one contenders match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, the winner of which would go on to become the next challenger for Cody Rhodes and the WWE title. And then a few days ago, unfortunately, we had a report, I believe Bodyslam.net was first to break the news, that Jacob Fatu had suffered a non-wrestling injury, which is very broad, and that can mean any number of things. That could be an injury, illness. They said injury. Not suffered in the ring. That would potentially keep him out not only for the rest of this year, but perhaps well into 2026. So that sounds serious. But WWE did not announce any changes to the show tonight. They were still advertising Drew McIntyre against Jacob Fatu. And so we come into this show and we see Jacob Fatu is there, and actually they're in his home territory there. They were out in the Bay Area, so he was super over. And they made it very clear at the beginning of the show tonight that our main event was going to be Drew McIntyre against Jacob Fatu. And I said, I don't think so. Obviously, they're planning some sort of angle here, unless everybody's been swerved the last few days. And sure enough, they shot an injury angle to effectively write Fatu off of television. Drew McIntyre had no opponent. Cody Rhodes would not stand for this. He offered to put the WWE title on the line. And that's how we got our impromptu, probably not even 5-minute long main event between these two men here on this show, which ended via disqualification when Cody the Coward got himself disqualified. And this was a side of Cody Rhodes that we don't get to see very often. This was Cody Rhodes crashing out here at the end of this show. He was very pissed off. He tried to put Drew McIntyre through the announce desk, and that's how they went off the air. And the way things are currently set up feels to me like we're going to get a proper rematch for the WWE Championship between these two men in 2 weeks. That's what I would do. Saturday night's main event. I know people are going to be upset that they didn't pull the trigger tonight, do a title change tonight. You don't do a title change tonight. This change in the main event was only made late in the afternoon. They didn't even know until maybe a couple of hours before the show that they were doing Cody Rhodes against Drew McIntyre. You don't give away and throw out a WWE title change quite like that. I mean, I'm all for shaking things up a little bit. Wait a couple of weeks. And then I'm all for a title change. But tonight was not the time to do it. Fatu getting injured, I mean, this angle they shot tonight would seem to confirm that he is hurt in some way. I don't know how long he'll be out for, but it sounds bad. And that sucks. Because I'm a big fan of Fatu, and it felt like after being gone for quite a period of time coming out of SummerSlam, he had reemerged, and it sounded like they were going to start to really get behind him as one of the top baby faces on this show. And then something like this happens. And so now you wonder, this all came together very last minute. So I am not convinced, chat GPT or otherwise, that they have a plan necessarily for where this is going to go. If not, they will have plenty of time to come up with one. This is actually what they did with Stone Cold back in '99 when he got run down by Rikishi. We didn't know it was Rikishi, and they didn't know either. They shot the angle because Austin was hurt. He couldn't wrestle. They had to do something. So they created this whodunit mystery out of who ran down Stone Cold. I don't know exactly when they figured out who they were going to go with, but you know it was months later that they figured it out. But this angle now, who attacked Jacob Fatu? Because Drew McIntyre made it very clear, I didn't do it. Now, he could be lying. Sure, of course, he's a heel. That's what heels do, they lie. So Drew McIntyre would be the obvious choice, right? He had a match with Fatu tonight. He would take him out, and therefore he wouldn't have to wrestle him. I don't think we're looking at Drew McIntyre as the attacker here for Jacob Fatu. Was Randy Orton the man who maybe attacked Fatu? Are they going to work him into this story? Very possible. There is another possibility, though. And I still feel the way that I felt months ago, in that it is not quite the right time yet to turn Cody Rhodes. But I will submit this to you. If the reports are true, and Jacob is going to be out for a while, right? Many, many months. I am intrigued by the possibility that in the end, it is revealed, we see footage, that it was Cody Rhodes who took out Jacob Fatu. If Jacob is gone for a while, what if, well into 2026, even beyond WrestleMania, we come to find out when he comes back and he's on a rampage trying to figure out who was the man who attacked him. Maybe even he doesn't know, right? Who attacked me? He's gonna go around murdering everybody until he finds the culprit who took all these months of his career away from him. And what if in the end we find out that it was Cody? You know, they had a little interaction on the show, backstage earlier tonight, and it was a very friendly, banter back and forth. But Fatu made it very clear that he was going to win tonight, and he was coming for Cody, and he was coming for the title. And keep in mind that Cody is coming off of a very embarrassing loss at Crown Jewel last weekend to Seth Rollins. Cody has to get back to his winning ways. That's why he was so angry and pissed off tonight, right? So what if? What if Cody just is in this fit of desperation decided, you know what, this is someone that I really don't want to have any part of. This guy is starting to build some momentum. I don't want to deal with this guy. Everybody's going to think it's Drew anyway. I'll just come out and act all pissed off, right? There are ways to make this work. And if the idea is when Jacob comes back, they want to really strap the rocket to him and make him the top babyface on SmackDown in the way that Braun Breaker better have that rocket strapped to him right now as the top heel on Raw. I'm very intrigued by that idea. Do I think that's what they're going to do? Probably not, but it's something that I would strongly consider, especially if he's going to be out for a while. Now, if Fatu's going to be out for 3 months, that's a little bit different. That would be premature to turn Cody this close to WrestleMania. You still haven't done the stuff with Randy. Although, again, a heel Cody and a babyface Randy Orton would be a dynamic there that a lot of people wouldn't be expecting. Again, I just throw that out there as an idea. More for the long term than the short term. But there are different ways that you could go about where you can turn this angle into something really interesting. And take what is clearly a negative if they lose him for any significant amount of time and turn it into a positive and create a real story, right? Real episodic story around it when Jacob comes back. I'll tell you who's back. The Mad Dragon is back. Yes, he's been gone for over a year. Not only is he back, he is now a part officially of the SmackDown roster. Ilya Dragunov. We have not seen him in a very long time. He tore his ACL last fall. He was back tonight to answer the call in the Sami Zayn United States Championship Open Challenge. And my, oh my, what a match that these two guys went out there and had. This U.S. Open Challenge has not missed. Not a single week. Some matches are better than others, sure, but there has yet to be a bad match in the bunch. And credit to Sami Zayn, because you could put him in the ring with anybody and you're guaranteed to have at least a good match. If you can't have at least a good match with Sami Zayn, then you have no business being in a wrestling ring. So every single week, I have been looking forward to this Open Challenge because it delivers every time. Even when SmackDown sucked, the U.S. Open Challenge was one thing that I could look at and go, hey, you know what? This is going to be great. And tonight was one of the best matches in the entire series. Dragunov comes back. They go out there for almost 20 minutes. They had a banger of a match. And not only did they have a great match, they actually pulled the trigger and they did a title change. And we have a brand new United States champion here on this show. And I am a little bit torn over this for reasons that you could probably expect. We'll talk about the match. There are pros and cons to this because it really has been the best part of this show. And even though we have a new champion now, I'm hoping that this is not the end of these open challenges. That's the only thing that I'm a little worried about. The other thing I'm a little worried about is we got what felt to me like a potential tease for a War Games match. we've been hearing rumors about what the War Games teams are going to be this year at Survivor Series. And we could really look at what's been going on with the Vision. And you had to, figure that, okay, they're going to be on the heel side of things. And you're going to have maybe Roman Reigns will be on the babyface side or CM Punk. And I'm watching this show tonight, and they are clearly building up a war. And they even use that word, a war, between the MFTs, which is Solo Sikoa's family, and the Wyatt Six. And it felt to me, watching them square up again tonight, we may very well be looking at the men's War Games match for Survivor Series right there. And that does not inspire me at all. It really doesn't. I mean, look, I'm not saying we need the same faces involved in the War Games match every single year, or that it's a bad thing to change it up and have some different faces in there, but this ain't it. This ain't it. I mean, you have two factions right now that are ice cold that nobody really cares about. And you're going to put them in a War Games match? Again, I hope I'm wrong. I'm watching this and they're all standing there face to face. And this just looked to me like, holy shit, are we going to get a War Games match with these two groups? And on the Wyatt side, if they're going to do it, they need an extra person because they're one man down. They're not putting Nikki Cross in War Games. Not in that War Games match. But it's possible. Sami Zayn, right? You saw Solo Sikoa come out during Sami Zayn's match tonight. Provided a little bit of a distraction. Not the first time those two have had issues. If the Wyatts need an extra body, an extra man to be on their side in a War Games match, I'm sure Sami Zayn would fill that spot nicely. But is this really what we're looking at for War Games this year at Survivor Series? I hope not. Yeah, see, DK in the chat, I agree. See, if they were still doing at least one traditional Survivor Series elimination match, perfect. You could do that. But War Games? Maybe I'm way off base. To me, War Games, there's not enough juice here to get a War Games match they literally just started beefing with each other on this show. But I don't know, it felt to me watching this like that could potentially be where we're headed, and I hope that's not the case. But there has been a different vibe on SmackDown over the last couple of weeks. Ever since that report of creative changes came out, Road Dogg was going to get some assistance. He was not being demoted or moved off the creative team. He is still the head writer. But they were going to bring in some new writers to liaison with him and I guess add some fresh voices to the show. It's not a radically different show yet. It may be radically different in a few months. It's not radically different, but there have been enough changes in the last couple of weeks that it's been noticeable. And not even just because we have a new champion crowned on the show tonight, but it's been noticeable. This was a good show. This was a good show. This was not like, oh my God, this was such a great episode of Smack. No, but it was definitely an improvement from what we were getting. That's 2 weeks in a row. Slow and steady wins the race. I hope they continue. There are still changes that need to be made. We still don't know how the U.S. title picture on the women's side is going to shake up on this show. The women's division in general, still very weak. The tag team division on this show, still very cold. And I'm hoping that we get to see some more new faces, on a more permanent basis, called up from NXT, especially on the women's side, because they could use that help here on this show. But if they continue to make changes, then that's a step in the right direction. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review. I am the Solomonster. It is October 17th, 2017. 2017. Oh my God. I don't even know what year it is. 2012. I'm going back in time, baby. I'm going in the DeLorean. We're going back in time. Oh my God, I need sleep. This is October 17th, 2025. There we go. I got it. I'm going to give my... There you go. I got the fucking date right. There you go. This is going to be a good night. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You could drop a super chat. Clearly, I'm going to need it for my medical bills as I go get my brain tested. And as they come in, we will be reading your messages a little bit later on here on the stream. Hey, Bodie McBoatface just joined us. I feel like my night is complete now. Bodie McBoatface is with us. And Asuka. It's going to be a party. Oh no. Oh no. Alina says 2017, that means Jinder is champion again. Ah, yes. The bad old days are back of Jinder Mahal as the WWE champion on SmackDown. See, that is not the change I was asking for. That is definitely not the change that I was looking for. Oh, I should mention, not only do you have the $15 Asuka super chat, there's also a brand new Rusev $18 one. Just FYI. So they opened the show with a Raw recap and the big angle at the end of the show on Monday where Seth Rollins was speared right out of the Vision. I'm going to have a lot more to say about that on the podcast this Sunday. That and the Andrade story. There's going to be a lot of news to cover in addition to your Wrestle Dream review on episode 934. So they recap that angle here at the beginning. Vic Joseph was on commentary, standing in for Michael Cole tonight, along with the returning Corey Graves. He is back after being F5'd by Brock Lesnar. So we had our NXT crew doing commentary tonight here for this show. We had SmackDown GM Nick Aldis. He was in the ring already to inform us that the schedule, and I thought this is where he was going to announce that the main event had been changed. But he said the scheduled match, the scheduled main event for tonight's show between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu would now be a number one contenders match for the WWE Championship. And the winner of that match would be wrestling this man. And out came the champ, the loser from Crown Jewel, Cody Rhodes. Cody admitted that Seth Rollins beat him at Crown Jewel and it cut him to the bone to do so. He said after everything that he's been through with Rollins, he's not sure they need to get in the ring together ever again. But that's not how it works around here. He said Seth has his own problems to take care of after what happened on Raw Monday night. And then he pivoted to his new challengers. He says, I'm here to talk about SmackDown business. He talked about the main event tonight, asked the crowd, should it be Drew McIntyre? And they all booed. And then he asked, should it be Jacob Fatu? And they all cheered. All right, settle down, settle down. Which, of course, they would cheer because they were in the Bay Area, and he is from the Bay Area. I think he's from Sacramento. I want to say he's from Sacramento. Jacob, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I know he's from the Bay Area. So he said that regardless of who wins, the road to the WWE Championship leads through San Jose tonight. And that was it. This was a very basic, bare bones promo here from him to open the show, and they were keeping the main event despite all of the rumors about a possible injury to Fatu. They were full steam ahead with the main event. It felt to me like, okay, they're going to shoot some kind of big angle. They have to. And that's exactly what they ended up doing. Backstage, Solo Sikoa and his MFTs, they attacked Rey Fenix while Phoenix was in the middle of a photo shoot. Solo wanted to step in. Phoenix said, no, I have a couple of photos left. And Solo said, no, you don't. And they beat him up like a jabron. And they left him laying, and that was the end of that. So then we had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Charlexa taking on Zaruca. Man, I'm telling you, we need some real tag team names again. I miss the days of, the Road Warriors and Demolition and the Hart Foundation and the Bulldogs, like we need team names like that. That's what we need. Charlexa, Zaruca. What is this? This is the best we can come up with here. Where's the AI? Yes, where's the AI? I'm sure AI could come up with some better tag team names for some of these teams. But yes, it was Sol Ruca and Zaria from NXT challenging for the women's tag team titles. They showed Blake Monroe sitting in the crowd. Yes, this was Mariah May's SmackDown debut. There she was. Not the last time we'll be seeing her on the main roster. Hopefully very soon. But she's going to be challenging Sol Ruca for the Women's North American Championship at Halloween Havoc, so that's why she was there. She was there to observe. So Ruca and Flair, they got things going with a test of strength. That's going to be a WrestleMania match one day. Sol Ruca against Charlotte Flair. Sol cartwheeled away from Charlotte's attacks early on. Alexa Bliss tagged in, and Zaria followed very quickly thereafter. Bliss applied a sleeper hold. Zaria, though, powered out of it very easily, and she was undeterred by all of the strikes that Alexa was throwing at her, and then she hit a spine buster on Alexa. So the challengers controlled the action during the break, isolated Bliss in their corner. Ruca and Zaria, they attempted a double-team splash. Bliss, though, avoided it, made the hot tag to Charlotte, who took out both challengers with a crossbody. Hey, Bliss fan, what do you think of this Charlexa name? See, I'm not really a fan of it. I'm going to leave it to you. What if you had the book? What would their team name be? So Sol Ruca connected with the Soul Snatcher. Bliss, though, prevented the cover. Did you see the video, by the way? There was an NXT house show. It was this week or last week. And apparently, the good news is JC Jane, who there was a great fear that she might have suffered a serious injury recently. Evidently, she's okay. But Fallon Henley might possibly be hurt. And I saw the video of what happened. There was a match. Sol Ruca went for a Soul Snatcher, and she landed. It was such a weird thing. Her leg hit the rope on the way down, but she landed with her full body weight, it looked like, on Fallon Henley's head. Hopefully, if she is hurt, it's nothing serious. Not the prettiest Soul Snatcher she's ever done. But it didn't work here. So the action spilled outside, where Zaria slammed Bliss into the barricade. Ruca then took out Charlotte with a moonsault, and Sol became preoccupied with Blake Monroe in the front row. So she went up, got in her face. That was a mistake, though, because Charlotte came up from behind with a chop block to the knee. She then pulled Sol back into the ring for a figure eight, and Sol Ruca was forced to tap out. And still, women's tag team champions Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. The Twisted Queens. Apparently, they were called the Twisted Queens on commentary tonight. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it's better than Charlexa. I'll accept that. I'll accept it. I thought the match was better than average. I mean, I was expecting, honestly, a little bit more given who was involved here. But it was solid enough. I do hope we get to see more of Sol and Zaria on SmackDown going forward. Or even Sol in singles action, because this division could use them. This is what I'm talking about when I mention, call up some people from NXT, especially on the women's side, even if it's a couple of faces. It could be Sol and Zaria. It could be Sol and Jordan Grace, right? There are certain women who are ready right now and who could add a lot to that division. And it's just part of this new makeover that this show needs. There doesn't have to be like a draft show, but there is a need for some roster, roster maneuvers or roster trades or whatever between Raw and SmackDown, call-ups, whatever it may be. There has to be some sort of a roster shakeup here on this show, but also a creative shakeup, and that it feels like that they're in the middle of that right now. But the two to me go hand in hand. I think also on the Charlotte and Alexa thing, let me keep with this for a second. I think that we need to evolve this a little bit. And I actually am very surprised we have not gotten vignettes. I can't even say more vignettes. They haven't done any with these two. And now they're basically on the same page. They're like best friends. I felt like they could have really dragged things out a little bit more. Where Charlotte, it's a very slow, like a fungus that grows. Where Alexa very slowly grows on her. But you have fun with it. And Alexa's like, look, you need to just kind of cut loose a little bit. You're too uptight. That's your problem, right? You're the queen. You're prim and proper. You take yourself too seriously. I need to teach you a few things, right? And then just have some fun with it and just film these vignettes wherever. I mean, it could be whatever city they're in. They go try to do some fun stuff together, fun activities. And they didn't do it. They didn't give us any of that. Like, they took the laziest fucking approach to get here. They won a few matches, and now Charlotte's like, oh, we're friends. Like, what? You could have had fun with this. And I feel like they just cut out the middle part that would have made this, entertaining. And now it's like, I guess in a way it's kind of too late, but they should still be trying some of that, where we see the two of them interacting outside the ring. And I don't just mean in like a backstage locker room where they're just having a conversation. That's fucking boring. I'd like to see them sort of, tap into that a little bit more, or just evolve their friendship and their partnership in some way. I just think it was a missed opportunity not doing that. As far as where they may be going with the women's tag team titles, I said this on Monday in my Raw review. I think you build to Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, they don't have to be next, but you build to Bayley and Lyra, ultimately challenging them and maybe winning the tag team titles from Bliss and Alexa. I mean, that could be a whole program, between those two teams. They show Cody Rhodes walking backstage, and he ran into Jacob Fatu. And he said that once he was finished dog walking Drew McIntyre in the main event, he was going to dog walk him all the way from San Jose to San Francisco. Cody would find out that he was all gas and no brakes. What did I have the other night? I don't know. It was something with beans in it. I, too, was all gas the other night. But they shared a handshake out of respect, and, all seemed to be well between these two. But I don't know about this Cody guy. I'm telling you. Something going on there. So after this, we got a vignette from Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, who have been paired up on screen. They're obviously paired up off screen, but now they have officially paired them up on screen. If you saw the end of the Last Man Standing match on the show last week, very good match. Aleister Black against Damian Priest. I did watch the match after the fact. I wasn't here to review it live. But Zelina came out at the very end. She provided the assist, the distraction, and Aleister picked up the win. So they are officially together now. They did not acknowledge them last week as being husband and wife. But in this segment here, they acknowledge them as being married. So Black said, "Everything I have done has been a calculated move on my end, and I have not felt this accomplished as with me aligning with my wife." They basically talked about this was the plan from the very beginning. From the moment he came back to WWE, they were, again, they're married, but the plan amongst them was to end up in this place now where they were together on the show. And Zelina said, "We are not the infection. We are just the mirror that shows it." Kind of a weird thing to say. How many of you listening to this or watching this right now have had some sort of infection that you were able to look at in the mirror? And I don't want to ask what the infection might have been from. It's really none of my business, but I suppose that's something that most people could probably relate to. I don't know. But they said that the venom wasn't poison, but rather it was salvation. They are a necessary evil, they said. A lot of spooky jargon here between these two. Very reminiscent of Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I'm sure, I know I'm not the only one to kind of have picked up on that and made that comparison. Almost feels like they've sort of taken their place. Look, I'm happy that they paired them up. I like the pairing. I do. I'm happy they did that. I think it is something that benefits both of them. Zelina was out of the U.S. title picture. She wasn't doing anything. Black's starting to get a real push here, but I think it'll benefit her more, but it still benefits the both of them. So I like the pairing. I like the pairing, and I think that Black is someone who should be pushed up higher on the card here on this show. And now, you've got a new champion, new U.S. champion. Black being in the U.S. title picture would make a lot of sense. Now, backstage, The Miz, who should not be in the U.S. title picture, The Miz was backstage speaking with Nick Aldis when Sami Zayn interrupted, and he wondered, why is there no U.S. title open challenge on the show tonight? And Aldis explained that Shinsuke Nakamura really is still owed after how their previous match ended with the MFTs getting involved. He's owed another shot, but he's not here tonight. He's still over in Japan. They just had their weekend tour of Japan. Or I think they're in the middle of it right now, right? Or how many shows are they doing? I want to say maybe they have another couple of shows this weekend. So anyway, that's where Nakamura is. Plus, he said the MFTs are still lurking around, and you never know when they may get involved. So Sami didn't give a shit about it. He's like, really? This is why you're not going to let me defend my championship tonight? He wasn't having any of this. And he said, look, I'm going out to the ring. Anybody who wants a shot at my title, they know where to find me. And so up next, we had the Sami Zayn United States Championship Open Challenge, which has become the weekly highlight of this show. And The Miz came out to accept the challenge, and that groan that you heard was all the way here from New York. I'll cop to it. As soon as Sammy's standing in the ring, as soon as I heard that music, I said, "Ooh, please no." But Carmelo Hayes came out, and he attacked Miz from behind, and the two of them ended up brawling to the back, which was great. And that meant that Sami was still in the ring. He still had no challenger. He needed a challenger here for this open challenge. And that quickly was addressed because we got the return of the Mad Dragon. Yes, Ilya Dragunov back on television and back on SmackDown, not on Raw, which is where he was the last time we saw him. The last time we saw him was in September of last year. So he's been out for over a year. He tore his ACL in a house show match at the end of September last year, fighting Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And he has not been in the ring since. So he came out here and he looks great. He looks like he bulked up a little bit, put a little bit of weight on, and he's got a knee brace on, and he's got a new neck tattoo. It basically envelops his entire throat. I don't know exactly what it is. It looked like a demon, but it's his whole throat, and it goes down to the upper part of his chest. I don't know what is it with these neck tattoos. Dom just got a new neck tattoo right on his throat, got a lucha mask, and now Dragunov has one as well. But it was great to see him back. I've been waiting for him to come back because I knew he was basically cleared, and they were just waiting to come up with something creatively for him to do. And it didn't matter. I mean, whatever show he ends up on, he's going to be a great asset, especially to the mid-card on that show, which is where he is right now, and that's fine. Because he wasn't exactly a main eventer the last time we saw him, but hopefully one day you can build him up to that level. But right now, he could dominate, in the mid-card, whether it was the IC title picture, the US title picture. I just wasn't expecting him to be vaulted to the title as quickly as he was here. So they were in Sacramento tonight. Was Sacramento? Not Sacramento. They were in San Jose. And there was some respectful chants of welcome back here at the beginning of this, but it just struck me as there were a lot of people in this crowd who didn't really know who he was, which made me sad. The reaction wasn't like what you would hope for. It was respectful though. So Dragunov and Zayn, they shared a handshake as the bell rang. Before the two of them stood toe to toe, they started slugging each other with strikes. Zayn lit up Dragunov with a chop, and he went for a suplex. Dragunov countered out of that with Sami fighting back, and Dragunov, he threw the champion into the corner, absolutely blasted him with a running boot to the face, and that took us to a commercial break. Later on in the match, Zayn delivered a tornado DDT in the corner. Dragunov, he was stunned, it looked like. Sami charged at him, but he ended up eating a jumping kick to the face. That only got a near fall, though, and Zayn tried to fight out of Dragunov's grip. He got dropped, though, with a German suplex. So Dragunov lifted Zayn up. He dropped him with a standing Uranagi, only for a 2. He tried to go up top. Sami avoided him when he came off the top, though, and he connected with the Michinoku driver for a near fall. So they wound up on the apron. Dragunov tried to get Sami up on his shoulders. Sami countered out of that, and he ended up hitting Dragunov with a nasty DDT, just spiked him on the apron. And actually what happened is, as Dragunov was coming down for the DDT, it looked like he landed shoulder first on the bottom rope. So he kind of got tied up in the ropes there a little bit, but that took us into the commercial break. And I will tell you that it was during this second commercial break of the match here that they kicked things up a few notches here in this match. And I don't want to say they woke the crowd up, meaning the crowd was like dead silent, but they woke the crowd up to where now they were getting into everything these guys were doing here. So if you're living in the U.S., like international, you probably didn't have any issue here. But if you were watching this show here in the U.S., I sure hope you were using your ExpressVPN because we got a treat here during this commercial break. Dragunov was on the mat, and he was kind of leaning up against the bottom rope. And Sami comes over, and he just starts like booting him in the face, like fucking hard. Booting this man in the... I wouldn't be surprised if Dragunov told him before they went out there, like, lay your shit in, man. Let's do this the right way. So Sami's booting him in the face, Dragunov gets back up to his feet. He's laying in some stiff shots on Sami. This feels like a fight. This feels like a real fight now between these two. And now they're throwing back and forth haymakers, and the crowd is, getting into it. Dragunov grabs him, hits a power bomb, gets a cover. Sami, though, barely kicks out. And the crowd is totally with it. So when they came back from the commercial break, Zayn and Dragunov, they battled on the ropes. Ilya knocked down Sami. He landed a diving senton, got a close near fall out of that. They battled to the ropes again. Dragunov landed a superplex. And he went for an H-bomb. Sami, though, got a boot up. So if you know, when he comes in for that H-bomb, just picture this. Like Sami Zayn puts his foot up in the air. He fucking booted this man. As he came down, he booted him right in the face. So then Sami went for a haluva kick. Dragunov avoided it, hit a back suplex. And then after some back and forth, Dragunov connected with a discus lariat for another near fall. He went for a torpedo Moscow, but he got intercepted by a kick. Sami hit a blue thunder bomb. And a lot of people thought that was it. This match is over. He's been winning his matches with that blue thunder bomb. But Dragunov kicked out. And Zayn backed into the corner. He was setting up for a haluva kick. And here comes Solo Sikoa. No music, but he trots out on stage. And I'm like, motherfucker. They're going to ruin another match here in this series. And Sami looks over at the stage and is kind of looking at him, with this look of like, what the hell are you doing out here? And Solo just is kind of like, yeah, you, right? And he goes to the back. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking around like, is Tama Tonga going to hit the ring? And fucking JC Mateo. No. Solo Sikoa goes to the back. And Dragunov comes in. He's going to try to catch him off guard. Sami, though, catches him with an exploder into the corner. So now he sets up for the haluva kick. Dragunov, though, intercepts him with Torpedo Moscow. And Sami is down flat on the mat. And then he hits the H-bomb, which is that diving, falling forearm smash right to the face. And in doing so, he falls on top of Sami, who is just knocked out. And the referee starts counting. And he gets the 3 count. And I'm like, son of a bitch. They actually did it. He actually won the match. And we have a brand new United States champion. His name is Ilya Dragunov. After the match is over, Dragunov briefly had a moment to celebrate. He couldn't believe it. It's like, me? I won? And Sami offered a handshake. Before Ilya could accept, though, both men were attacked by the MFTs. And so the clowns hit the ring in their new face paint. They look like, I guess this is supposed to be like the dead presidents. So they attack these two men. Here comes Rey Fenix. He runs down to the ring trying to get revenge for them making him look like a jabron earlier in the show. And so what ends up happening, he got his ass whooped again. Poor Rey Fenix. So Sikoa got on the mic. He said the MFTs run SmackDown. They are going to get back everything that his family lost. And he will make his family tree champions again. So the lights in the arena went out, and we got the video, like the little VHS effects, and we got a Wyatt's video. It was Bo Dallas. We haven't seen him in a few weeks. And Bo Dallas is on the Tron. He said, "Seek and you shall find, but you may not be ready for what's waiting on the other side." So then the Wyatt Six, they appeared on the apron. They got in the ring to confront the MFTs, and Solo and his crew chose to bail instead. First of all, what a return for Ilya Dragunov. This man missed over a year. He comes back and it's like he never missed a beat. What a fucking match these two guys had. One of the best matches in the entire U.S. Title Open Challenge series that we have had so far. But it's bittersweet for me. And it's bittersweet because these open challenges have been so much fun. And they have truly been the highlight of this show. You don't know who's going to come out. And then you get the actual match, and people are hanging on to every near fall, and Sami is just making it look like he's just skating by the skin of his teeth. He's finding different ways to win. They're letting the matches breathe, and they're going through 2 or 3 commercial breaks. It's been a joy. Honestly, I haven't gotten a whole lot of joy out of SmackDown the last several months. This has been the exception. And it's been something that I look forward to each week. I'm not saying this should be like a permanent gimmick with the U.S. title, but I would love to see them continue the open challenges, even with Dragunov. I hope it's something they continue, because I feel like this is something that has separated SmackDown from Raw. You know, it's good for each show to find something to make it different than the other show, like a true brand split. You know, we haven't gotten enough of that. If you're going to have a brand split, wouldn't it be nice, you know, if one show had something unique about it that you can't find on a Monday night? NXT, they decided to have the Speed title added to NXT. The Speed title is useless. But the one thing I'll say about something like that, just using that as an example, at least it's something different. NXT had the Heritage Cup, right? I never was able to get into the Heritage Cup. It wasn't my cup of tea. See what I did there? But it wasn't for me. But you know what? They tried something different. NXT is like that. NXT is like a fucking petri dish. You know, they try different concepts, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But, you know, they try different things that make the show unique. And I think we need to see more of that with Raw and SmackDown, whatever that may be. In this case, it's the U.S. title open challenge. Hopefully it continues. Now, as far as the MFTs and the Wyatts, again, I really hope they are not planning on doing this for War Games, and I'm just, you know, looking too far into the future at something that isn't there. But that's really how it felt like watching this. And again, if the Wyatts are in need of an extra body on their team, Sami Zayn joining with them to get revenge on Solo Sikoa and the MFTs for being a thorn in his side would make a lot of sense. Honestly, Sami Zayn leading a team and enlisting the services of some of the people that he has wrestled in the open challenge, you know, like a Nakamura or a Rey Fenix, I would find that more interesting than going with just the MFTs and the Wyatt Six, because, you know, and the Wyatts are a little bit more over than the MFTs. I suppose they're not, I wouldn't say they're super duper over, but, you know, you've got two factions here that are now going to war on this show that are completely heatless. Completely heatless. They're not interesting in any real meaningful way. You could be a fan of the Wyatts and like the Wyatts and like Bo, and that's fine, but like, they're not doing anything interesting right now. They're not coming out, you know, and popping the place off and having these, you know, wonderful matches and really adding to the show in a way that makes me say, you know what we need? We need them in the War Games match at Survivor Series. And it just doesn't make any sense to me if that's what it ends up being. I'm going to say it won't be, but if it is, I think that's a mistake. That really is. I mean, to me, you may as well not even do a fucking War Games match if that's what you're going to do. Honestly, just don't do it. We got a recap of Stephanie Vicare's win over Tiffany Stratton at Crown Jewel. Tiffany Stratton came into that match undefeated this year, 17-0. Can't say that anymore. Now she is 17-1. And she was interviewed backstage about her loss at Crown Jewel, and she said the loss won't affect her. She said that one loss is not going to affect her year in the slightest. She said this as Kiana James showed up, and she interrupted and badmouthed Tiffany for not being a premium talent, unlike her client, the Women's United States Champion Julia, who is also over in Japan, which is why she was not on this show. And Stratton taunted her for not having it in the ring and challenged her to a match on next week's show. Then we got some earlier today footage of the Motor City Machine Guns. And it looked like they were shooting some sort of promo with them. They were sitting backstage somewhere, sitting in some chairs, talking about how it has been 1 year. 1 year ago is when the Motor City Machine Guns made their WWE debut on SmackDown. And they said it took them all of 2 weeks to win the tag team champion. Yeah, and where have they been since? But yeah, within their first 2 weeks on the main roster, they already had the tag team titles. And then they had a very brief, very uneventful run with them that nobody is going to remember. I barely remember it. But then Los Garza shows up. Angel Umberto and Sabin and Shelley, they pointed out that it was Angel Umberto who lost to them in their debut. And so maybe we'll make this an annual thing. Why don't we have another match on the show here tonight? And that led into the next match. Los Garza against the Motor City Machine Guns. We'll skip ahead to after a break. Angel was working over Alex Shelley. Sabin ended up in the match. Los Garza connected with a gory special, jumping neckbreaker combo, only for a near fall because Shelley broke it up in time. And as the action broke down outside the ring, Berto took flight. He vaulted over the top rope and took out both machine guns. Speaking of the vault, I should also point out, they actually had a commercial on this show tonight, a WWE commercial, which is the only reason I saw it because I was using my VPN. But they had a commercial advertising the fact that on the WWE Vault channel on YouTube, every Saturday morning, they upload new episodes of the old Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling cartoon. And they even showed us a clip from one of the episodes. Why did it take so long? This is what we need more of. I want to see them promote this. I want to see that Vault channel succeed. I want them to continue adding content to it. I want, when this year is over, that the Raw Vault and the library as it existed before will find a home somewhere, that somebody will care enough about it, that the Vault, and not that they should shut the Vault on YouTube down, but that a lot of the content that we currently have no access to will find a home. Like the Raw Vault has been incomplete and inaccessible now for months and months. It's ridiculous. And we've heard nothing new about where it's going to land. Is it going to be Peacock again? Is it going to be ESPN? We don't know. Netflix? We have no idea. Nobody seems to give a shit about the classic content. And I think one of the reasons for it is because they never bother promoting it on the television show. I understand TV time is, worth money. They only have so much of it. They have a gazillion fucking things to promote any given week. But there's a reason why so many people aren't even aware of it, because they don't promote it. This is what I've been asking for. Just a little commercial coming in or coming out of a break, going into a break or coming out of a break. Hey, guess what? Just got uploaded to the WWE Vault this week. And maybe it ties into something, like an anniversary that week. So it has some sort of relevance. And you show a clip and you tell people, hey, it's on the Vault right now for free on YouTube. That's the sort of thing they need to be doing more of. And it reminds me, I have to catch up with my rock and wrestling cartoon episodes. I had watched this since I was a kid, and they put it back up on the network very briefly, and then I think it was around the time Hogan, got fired 10 years ago, and then they took it off. So what they do is every Saturday morning, they stagger them. They upload one episode. I think they wait an hour, and they do another one. And so they've been doing that now for several weeks. So that was cool. They actually devoted some time to that. Anyway, back to this match here. There was an attempted double team move by Los Garza that got thwarted by Alex Shelley, and the machine guns hit their skull and bones finish on Berto for the win. Yes, Brad Garrett was the voice of Hulk Hogan. None of the wrestlers actually voiced themselves in the cartoon. I would imagine because their schedules were such that it would just be impossible to get them in studio to do it. If you knew the schedule that those wrestlers had back then, when were you going to get them in the studio to do voiceover work? Never. So yeah, Brad Garrett did the voice for Hogan. You know who else lent his voice to that cartoon? James Avery. Uncle Phil.
Off! It's a direction you can fuck.
Wow, Luis telling Uncle Phil where he can go. Hey, Luis, thank you for the $22 drop. Thank you, brother. Luis is out west. He's in California. But yes, Uncle Phil also lent his voice to that cartoon. His voice is unmistakable. He was also the voice of Shredder in the old Turtles cartoon. Anyway, this match was fine. Honestly, it's kind of sad. I don't think that either one of these teams have been on this show the last couple of months. And then they suddenly reappear, and it's hard to get into something like this because it's not going anywhere, right? Clearly, there's no tag team title implications here. Tag titles are pretty much wrapped up right now with the MFTs and the Wyatts, and they haven't done enough with these teams to really make it worthwhile to invest in what they're doing. So it was a match. And they tied it into the anniversary of them making their debut, so there was that little tie-in there. But it was a match for the sake of doing a match. It's one of those things that people would criticize, and sometimes rightfully criticize Tony Khan for doing. Like this past week, just this week, on Dynamite. They're going into a pay-per-view tomorrow. And there's a match on the show with Claudio Castagnoli and Roderick Strong, right? Two fine wrestlers, and they had a solid enough match. Why the fuck are they wrestling on this show when neither one of these men are on the pay-per-view this weekend? I have no idea, right? You want to complain about matches for the sake of matches. What is this leading to, right? I mean, this isn't going anywhere. And here's the other thing I was wondering. We heard a few weeks ago that Santos Escobar, he left when his contract expired, but they made him an incredible offer, and he ended up coming back, and he re-signed with WWE. Now, they're still referring to Angel and Berto as members of Legado del Fantasma. That's how they introduced them tonight. We still haven't seen Santos Escobar. So when and where are we going to see him? And is he just going to show up with Angel and Berto and go right back to what he was doing before? Or do they have something else in mind for him? Because supposedly they're paying him a lot more money this time. So you would think if they're paying him a lot more to retain his services, they must have some plans for him. Very interested to see what they have in mind for Mr. Escobar. Backstage, they showed Fraxium. They were watching the previous match, and they were plotting their next move. Nathan Frazier, who is the impulsive one on his team, wanted to go punch somebody in the face. Come on, let's go. And Axiom was a little more reserved. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano showed up. They also pointed out they have not been on the show in a couple of months. They rolled in with Candice LeRae, and they had some harsh words for the rest of the tag team division, including the Street Profits, who were not on the show tonight, but they did point out that they lost again recently. So then Axiom took exception to Gargano making fun of his mask, and he challenged him to a match, which I presume is going to happen on the show next week. Our main event was supposed to be Drew McIntyre against Jacob Fatu in a number one contenders match for the WWE title. But as Fatu's music was playing and we were waiting for him to come out to the ring, the camera cut backstage and we see a gaggle of officials and they're running through the hallways like, oh my God, there's something going on. And they find Jacob Fatu. He is laying on the ground and he has, I don't know what it was. It was a girder or something that had been overturned onto him. And he's, conscious, but he's laying there face down. He's spitting up blood. There's like a little puddle of blood on the ground and what looks to be teeth. There's blood and teeth laying on the ground. And they cut to commercial. So they come back. Fatu is sitting and he's sitting up right now, but he's sitting on the ground in the same spot, little pool of blood and teeth on the floor next to him. And he's angry, he's pissed off, and they're trying to ask him, like, what happened, who did this, and he's not talking, maybe because he has no fucking teeth in his mouth. I don't know, but he's not saying anything. Meanwhile, you hear Drew McIntyre's music in the arena, and they cut back, and McIntyre is coming out, and he's got this big grin on his face, and he gets into the ring, and he grabs a mic, and he says, it appears that our boy, Bloody Gums Fatu over here is all gas and no brakes. So he demanded the referee raise his hand as the new number one contender. Nick Aldis walks out on stage and he says, I swear to God, if I find out that you were involved in this. And McIntyre cuts him off and said, I didn't do it. I had nothing to do with this. And I believe him when he says that, because that would just be too obvious if it ended up being him. So Cody Rhodes comes out in his suit. He's got the WWE title with him and he's very pissed off, very angry about what just happened. And he says that we're not doing this. He said, these fans don't want to hear me talk. They want a number one contenders match. You know what, though? You and me, let's do this right now. I'll even put my WWE Championship on the line. And the fans in San Jose, they like that. They liked hearing that. They weren't expecting a WWE title match on this show. So Drew came out after him. The two started brawling. I never heard a bell, but the referee is there. They're fighting on the outside, and they cut to commercial. 10 minutes left in the show. The champion and challenger just started brawling. They cut to a very abrupt commercial. What a hell of a spot. Because you could tell, like even watching on the VPN, like you could tell when the announcers lay out and then they mute the sound for like 10 seconds and then they bring the audio back up. You could tell when they go to commercial and when they come back from commercial. Sometimes they'll put a little timer on the screen because I'm watching on Netflix. I didn't see any timers tonight, so I had to guess when they were coming back. But they went to fucking commercial. What a spot to do that. What a spot to cut away. So they fought through the crowd during commercial with Cody kicking his ass until they spilled back to ringside and then into the ring, and the referee, Ryan Tran, he finally rang the bell. And the announcers are speculating as to whether or not the title is even on the line in this match, because even though Cody said, I'll put the WWE Championship on the line, Nick Aldis never said that it was a title match. Corey Graves is talking to people in the truck. Hey, can you tell me if this is a title match? Right? Nobody seems to know if this is actually a title match or not. McIntyre got the upper hand with a belly-to-belly suplex, and he sent Cody flying halfway across the ring. Cody recovered. He punched away at McIntyre in the corner, started biting him on the forehead. So McIntyre caught Cody by surprise with a future shock DDT, almost got 3. Cody kicked out. McIntyre caught Cody by surprise, though, with a headbutt. Cody recovered, and he hit a Cody cutter, springboard off the ropes. He dropped him with it. As Cody tried to go for a suicide dive outside after Drew rolled out, McIntyre cut him off with a headbutt as he was about to come through the ropes. So then Cody got tossed over the timekeeper's barricade and into the timekeeper's area. And when McIntyre went back over to grab him, Cody blasted him in the head with the WWE Championship. And the cowardly fuck that he is, he got himself disqualified. Cowardly Cody intentionally got himself disqualified to save his title. If the title was on the line, we still don't know if this was actually a championship match or not. So the brawl continued after the bell as Cody cleared off the announce desk, and he had Drew on top of the desk set up for a crossroads when Nick Aldis and several officials, they stepped in to stop the chaos. Cody, though, managed to elude them, which is not a very difficult thing to do. And because they had already smuggled Drew over to the other side of the ring. So Cody just ran up the steps, ran across the apron, climbed up to the top rope, and did a dive. Even put his arms out as he was flying through the air, did a big dive onto the pile, and everybody went down. And the show ended with both men separated by officials, and they had a zoomed-in shot of Cody's face in the ring, and he was all pissed off. Angry Cody crashing out at the end of this show. See, that's the kind of chaotic ending that I like. The endings to Raw and SmackDown this week were great, especially Raw. But that's the sort of thing that, you can't do it every week. I understand that, but that's the sort of thing that I'd like to see more of here. The DQ was obviously lame, but as I said earlier, it was the only move to make, to have a no contest or to have a DQ, because this was put together very late in the day. This was a match that they did not decide what they were going to do and that they were going to have Cody against Drew until very late in the afternoon. I guess once they confirmed that Jacob was not going to be able to go. So you put this match together at the last minute, unannounced, with 10 minutes left in the show. You're not going to take the championship off of Cody Rhodes under those circumstances when you have a Saturday night's main event on Peacock coming up in 2 weeks. You do the match there. And I'm sure we're going to get the announcement because Cody had a hit him in the head with the belt. Right? And he lost. That we're going to get Cody and Drew, which was going to be the match. I'm sure that was going to be the match anyway. Like, had Jacob not gotten hurt, Jacob, I don't think, was winning this match tonight. So we were going to end up with Cody and Drew, in my opinion, anyway, on that Saturday night's main event show. So I still think we get to the same place. And if it were me, I'm changing the title on that show. I don't think you send Drew McIntyre in there again for what would be their third match and have him lose. He already lost once before. He won this one, but that was a cheap win. Right? Cody basically, dominated him there at the end. I don't see what sending Drew in there again and losing does for Drew. I understand that Cody is coming off a loss to Seth Rollins. So what? I would change the WWE Championship on that show. What I would do is I would go with what allegedly, what the plan was that Cody and Drew had concocted for WrestlePalooza. And the report at the time was that the two of them, their idea was to have Randy Orton accidentally cost Cody the championship and crown Drew at WrestlePalooza. You want to have a big moment on that first ESPN show. Doesn't get any bigger than that, right? Having the WWE Championship change hands. And they obviously decided not to do that. That idea still works. I would do that idea at Saturday night's main event. It gets Randy involved. You get a title change out of it. And you could rematch all of them, put them in a triple threat match together at Survivor Series and run that shit back. Like there's interesting ways that you can go with it, but there's none more interesting than doing a title change. That's what I would do. So I'm sure we'll get the announcement soon enough that we'll, get the title match on that show with those two guys. But that's where you do it. You do it in 2 weeks. You don't do it tonight. They were forced to rewrite the show at the last minute. The Fatu injury, we still don't know what it is. Clearly, he's injured. Okay, we heard the reports earlier in the week. Again, I think it was bodyslam.net that broke the news. And we don't know the nature of it. It's a private thing right now. It's unfortunate because, first of all, Fatu, I'm sure, was factored into some big plans as we go into Survivor Series and beyond. He was finally brought back to TV. It felt like they were about to elevate him. They got him away from Solo, thank God, and the MFTs and all that. And he was finally going to branch out and do more, and really be pushed as one of the big baby faces here on this show. And now this is all on hold now for the foreseeable future. And it hurts SmackDown because SmackDown could use him like badly. And now they're not going to have him for an undisclosed period of time. This was another good SmackDown. I want to sit here and tell you that I think that this will continue. I don't know. I'll be watching along just with the rest of you. All I can do is come on here and judge it week to week. 1 week it could be bad. The next week it could be great. SmackDown has been very inconsistent for a while now. But for a while now, honestly, it's largely been a bore. It's been a boring fucking show. And so it feels like they're taking steps. They acknowledge that there's a problem. That's the first step. When you have a problem, the first step is to acknowledge that you have a problem. Because if you don't acknowledge that you have a problem, the problem can never be solved. So if they're acknowledging, okay, look, we want to make this show more fun, so we're going to shake up the creative team a little bit, that's a positive sign. It's a positive step in the right direction. And the show does feel a little bit different the last couple of weeks. So I hope that continues. But put the title on Drew in 2 weeks. And get Randy Orton involved in this story, please. Let's move that along too. Let's move that to whatever the next phase of that story is going to be. Randy Orton comes back. He's on the show for 2 weeks, and then he disappears for like 8. And that's basically what we get out of Randy Orton. If that's the schedule he has, then great. Good for him. He's earned it. But I don't know that you would want to put the WWE Championship on him at some point if he's got a super part-time schedule. But you have to do, the story with him and Cody, because you've been teasing it for so long, and they've resisted doing it. And I feel like they've dropped little hints and teases now for like a year and a half. And so I would like to see that, move ahead. But I got to tell you, the idea that I talked about there with Cody maybe eventually being revealed as the one who attacked Fatu, if it's, well into 2026, if we don't see him again for that long, man, it's an intriguing idea. And it would be a hell of a way to do maybe even almost like a swap where Cody is the top babyface right now on SmackDown. And if you want to get Jacob in that position, and I think he is equipped to be in that position at some point in the not too distant future, that would be one way to do it. And if you're finally ready to turn Cody heel, which is going to happen, it's only a matter of when, how long do you wait? That would be one way to do it, and elevate Jacob at the same time. To where Cody now becomes the villain, and Jacob has to chase him. Jacob now has, it's a kind of like a two-pronged goal. One is to get revenge for what Cody did to him, and the other is to take the WWE Championship away from him. And what have I, and a lot, to be fair, a lot of people have been saying for the last, couple of years, year and a half, the future, right? Future top stars in this company. Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu. You're already seeing it play out on the Raw side with Braun Breaker. Now, an injury may have necessitated that a little bit quicker than they wanted to, but now is the time, right? With injury comes opportunity, and you're going to start to see that with him on Raw. When Jacob comes back, I would begin the ascent for him. because that guy is money, and that guy could be your top babyface on the show. He's already super over. He just needs that right guy to step into the ring with. Every the Batman needs the Joker, right? Hulk Hogan needed Roddy Piper. When you go into that first WrestleMania, right? You need that villain that you could dance with. Maybe that could be Cody and Jacob at some point. It's an intriguing idea. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. What did you think of SmackDown for October 17th? 87.7% thumbs up, 12.3% thumbs down. An overwhelmingly positive score for SmackDown tonight. Nayrod says, I think Montez Ford did it. Nayrod, I want what you're drinking tonight. What's on the menu with your drink of choice tonight? I might have to try that myself. It is not Montez Ford. There's an angry Miz girl right there. AI is better than Road Dogg. Man, you're probably not wrong. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go through your messages here. We've got a good SmackDown tonight. I will point out that tomorrow is Wrestle Dream. And it is going to be very interesting because Wrestle Dream, I saw it mentioned on the Observer site before. I think Alvarez mentioned it. Wrestle Dream is in St. Louis. And in St. Louis, they have a wrestling commission. And they have a strict wrestling commission, meaning there are certain things that you cannot do. I don't know if bleeding is one of them. But you've got a match on that show tomorrow with Darby Allin and Jon Moxley with an I Quit stipulation. So my guess is, if we're talking about a fine, Tony Khan better pay that fine in advance, because I don't know how that's going to work. If they have a strict commission in St. Louis, you're going to have Jon Moxley and Darby Allin in an I Quit match? How's that going to go? That'll be interesting. I feel like many years ago there was a show the WWE did. Was it Baltimore? I forgot what city it was. And it might have been the one where Vince wrestled Stephanie. So what was that? No Mercy in 2003, maybe? And there was some sort of commission rule against intergender wrestling, and I think they might have paid the fine in advance or whatever, because they still were able to do it. Maybe it's one of those types of situations. Can you imagine if they get to the building and the commission's like, nope, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. Can you imagine Jon Moxley and Darby Allin after this feud having a match with no blood and no thumbtacks and no barbed wire? Oh my God, it's like they're going to have to wrestle. Can they do it? I don't know. It was Baltimore. See, I was right. Look at that. I was right. And make sure Hogg doesn't run Baltimore in that case. But yes, I will have my review not live tomorrow night. I will have my review on the Sound Off on Sunday. Scumdog is first, sending super chat at 2 p.m. Well, then you must live in the Midwest. So I think I got this up at 4 p.m. my time. It says, I hope you had a great day. I thank you. It was good. It wasn't great. It was good. Trying to get a thermostat system working here. Replacing a very old thermostat with a new Nest one, and it's not working out too well. So we got to have a plumber come, and then the electrician has to come back. It's a whole thing. But thank you, Scumdog. Joseph Stewart says, do you remember the Batman 66 episode where Batman and Joker went surfing? I don't, but that sounds like fun. What are your top 5 favorite characters from the Masters of the Universe? Well, of course, He-Man. Skeletor. Is it Man-at-Arms? She-Ra? Orko? Big Orko guy. There you go. That's 5. Rest in peace, Ace Frehley, the original lead guitar player of Kiss. Yes, rest in peace. Do you think John Cena would make a good He-Man? I think he's got the physique for it, sure. What is my favorite scene in The Dark Knight Rises? Oh God, in The Dark Knight Rises? Didn't we answer this the other day? The football scene. Where the football stadium gets blown up. Do I remember MC Hammer's Addams Family song? Oh. No, I don't, actually. Scumdog, I think Wolverine would dog walk Batman. What are your... Oh, don't let Joseph hear you say that. Wolverine would dog walk Batman. I think you're right, but don't let him hear you say that. Also, besides wrestling, do I have any fun weekend plans? Yes, that's why I will not be here to go live for WrestleDream. I have more important things to do. So we'll talk about it on Sunday. There are more fun things to do than WrestleDream for 5 hours, believe me. Scumdog says, I like listening to your streams while I walk my dog, Bam Bam. I named him after Bam Bam Bigelow. That's very cool. I didn't think you named him after Barney's son from the Flintstones. Which I'm sure that's where Bam Bam got his name from. Bam Bam Bigelow. Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury, my son said the MFTs look like they are auditioning for roles in Dead Presidents Part 2, and now I cannot... That's why I said it. Dead Presidents. Either that, or they're trying to be mimes. I don't know. It's not going to make them any more interesting to me. Holiday says, hey Solo, thoughts on rumors that Batista may be John Cena's final opponent at Saturday night's main event in Washington. I hope it's not true, and I have no interest in seeing them run it back. I don't know where you're seeing this rumor. Batista had his retirement match against Triple H at WrestleMania. He is very content in his retirement. I think it would be cool for him to be there, you know, in his hometown to watch John Cena retire. He could be one of the guests of honor. Wrestling him, though, the answer is no. Emperor Comet. AI booked Ilya to win. Maybe. Holiday says, they can never seem to pull the trigger and do a WWE title change on SmackDown. I really thought Drew was going to win by shenanigans. It's okay to do something big on SmackDown once in a blue moon. They did. They had Ilya Dragunov return and win the open challenge to become United States champion. There was no need to add that to the show. Also, for the reasons I mentioned before, when you have a Saturday night's main event coming up in a couple of weeks, save it for that show. Thank you, Holiday. We got Give Me Back Shots Solomonster. Ilya gone for a year and still won gold before Mello. Yes, it's true. Dawn in the chat says, my dogs actually have learned to recognize Solomonster's voice. And Poppy and Annie love you. Oh, well, that's very cool. Good boy. You want treats? You want treats? Go get some treats. Sorry, Don. You gotta feed him now. We got Sedant. Yo Solo. You should have done the Don Callis. Yo soy Solomonster. First super chat. Have listened to you for 10 years now during workouts and drive to work. Awesome at what you do. Love from India. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Sedant. I appreciate that very much. See, we're global. We got fans all over the world. You'd be surprised some of the other places that I have fans who listen to the show. In some of these places, they may be the only one, because I've never heard of some of these places before. But they're listening to the sound off. They may not be watching the actual wrestling shows, but they're listening to the sound off. Trill Mexican, Back to Love. Thanks, Soul. I knew you would like that song. I thought of you when I decided on it tonight. He loves that song. Back to Love by Ultra Boss is one of my favorite intro songs here on the streams. With that sax. Oh, I love that sax, man. That's got that 80s vibe to it. It says, you indeed got me with that Ultra Boss track tonight. Me and my daughters were all dancing to it. Well, like the Dancing Pumpkins, too, in the intro. You know, when is Halloween? Is Halloween on a night that I'm streaming? Let me see here. Oh, look at that. 2 weeks from tonight, on Friday, I'll be doing my SmackDown review on Halloween. Oh, you better be here for that. I'll have a little Halloween party. It'll be fun. Super Pony. If Kevin Owens can't come back and has to retire, would you consider his career a bit of a disappointment since he only had one world title run? No. No, I really don't see how you can look at his career and think, oh man, that was disappointing. You know, just because he didn't have, 5 different runs with the championship, since everybody has like 5, 10, 15 runs. So what, you know? They put the Universal title on him once. Do I think he deserved to have a longer run as champion or as WWE champion? Yeah. But I don't know how you can look at the career that he has had and call it a disappointment. You could say that you may be a little disappointed he didn't spend more time maybe in the main event scene. But I don't look at it that way. I think he's had frankly, I think he's had much more success in his career than a lot of people thought he would have. Because someone who looks the way he does, working for Vince McMahon, honestly, never should have been pushed as hard as he was, right? I'm happy he was, but it's not something you would expect. But he's a unique talent, you know, because he just, even his promos, like he just has there's a certain quality about him. He could be the most likable guy on the roster or the most hated. He's one of those guys that you can plug in whatever role you need him to be in, and he will excel. And so I don't see how you can look at anything that he's done as being disappointing. Boris. Hey, Solo. Second Friday in a row where I don't feel like my time has been wasted watching SmackDown. I definitely appreciate more effort than the writing team started to put into the show. I hope it continues. Either that or AI. All these stories going around. I don't know what to believe anymore. Whatever it is, I hope it continues. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I hope it continues. Base Beer says Death and Taxes, Undertaker and IRS. That was a Royal Rumble match, right? Wasn't that the Royal Rumble match in '95? They should have advertised it that way. Death and Taxes. It's like Undertaker against Bret Hart at SummerSlam that year. Heart and soul. Brian Keith is with us. I don't think it's that Brian Keith. Is it the Bad Apple? He spells his name differently. Fans congratulating Vince on his recent court case victory on social media. It's like the man can do no wrong. Looks like Pepe Le Pew is on his head. Yeah. I mean, the fans congratulating Vince are the ones who would bow down to him if he ever came back on TV. I mean, what more can be said about these people? I think I've made my thoughts clear on these individuals before. Bright Black Grouse. W for Ilya Dragunov. Did not expect that. What are your thoughts? I think it's great. I think it's a great way to reintroduce him. My idea would have had Obafemi debuting in the Open Challenge and just dominating Sami and winning the championship in dominant fashion. But in terms of bringing somebody back or debuting them, that's basically what they did with him tonight. It's a great way to reintroduce him to a new brand. Now you got to follow up. You got to come up with challenger. Whether they continue the open challenge or not, you gotta come up with challengers for him, and he's in a prime spot now on this show. If you want to be serious about pushing him, you got to be serious about pushing him. Hey, happy birthday, Coolin. Coolin with Q. It's his 32nd birthday. I hope you had a great birthday. How close are we to 400, by the way, for Be the Booker? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get there. How close are we? Base Beerus says, was Cena versus Lesnar at WrestlePalooza even canon? Kanan. I don't know. Whatever it was, it sucked. So I'm ignoring it. I suggest you do the same. Devin from NJ 2000. If Solo was a wrestler, what would his 5 moves of doom be? Definitely an eye rake. Poke to the eye. For sure. Figure 4 around the post. Would be one of my moves of doom. Nothing off the top rope. Nothing off the ropes. I don't want to, roll an ankle. I don't want to hurt myself. So I would use. I think those would definitely be on my list. I don't know. I have to think about the other ones. Luis says, and the Dodgers are going to the World Series. Let's go. He's very excited about this. You are way more excited about it than I am. But congrats, Luis. I feel nothing but joy for you because you clearly are very excited about the Dodgers going to the World Series. Dried Chicken says WWE Smackdown is like eating a plain French fries without any salt. It's crunchy but low sodium. But who wants to eat that? Base Beer says, who wins in a shoot? Tony Soprano or Uncle Phil? Uncle Phil. Dried Chicken says, I predict Darby Allin will beat Jon Moxley. So do I. Base Beer is buy or sell Piper or Savage. I'm a Savage guy. I'm a Macho Man Randy Savage guy. Base Beer says Solo's got a hot date this weekend. Yeah. And it's not with Wrestle Dream, I could tell you that. I dropped that like a bad habit. Dried Chicken says, give me the House of Torture in WWE. Don't we already have that? It's called the MFTs. We don't need another one. Dried Chicken says, Vince McMahon looks like Count Dracula. I bet Vince is getting ready for his Halloween party. Oh, I'm sure he's going to have one. It'll be a very exclusive list.
I am the learning tree.
Speaking of which.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Jeremy. Oh, I'm sure he's going to have another one of those parties, and he'll have a bust of himself. He might actually have Vince McMahon masks made, Halloween masks, to give out to all of his invited guests. Base Beer says, back rake as your finisher. I thought that was our friend GMB saying back shots as your finisher. That wouldn't be my finisher. I know what, I doubt that would be his finisher. That wouldn't be my finisher. Actually, finisher. It's a joke there. I just didn't even mean to make it. Jeremy Rose with the, that would be my finisher. Jeremy Rose with the $12 super chat. Says, Solo, earlier this week, I asked you about Mount Rushmore for heels. Personally, I think the most evil heel of all time are Ministry Taker, Triple H, Orton, mainly the Legend Killer, and probably Flair. Yeah, and I said that the Mr. McMahon character is the best villain in the best heel, villain, whatever, in wrestling history. Mr. McMahon. Art imitating life. And then beyond that, you get into, some of those names. Triple H he's he deserves consideration, especially those early days when he was first breaking out as a singles heel. Beyond the blue blood, I'm not talking about the blue blood gimmick. Flair for sure. I mentioned Jake, from that heel run, 91, 92. Absolutely, Jake Roberts. And Jeremy says, and of course, Vince. Yes, I saw the follow-up super chat there. And I've been informed that we just hit. Did we indeed? Yes, we did. We hit 400 likes just now. Way to go. That means it is time to be the booker, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Yep, Piper, of course. Piper was an incredible heel. One of those heels who could talk them into the arena. People would want to see him get his ass handed to him. What did Jim Ross used to say? You talk him into the building and ass every 18 inches. Oh, look at our first team. Look at this baby face right here. What has happened to Dominic Mysterio? He has been thoroughly corrupted. Look at him here. This is from happier times with father and son, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, the former SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Doesn't even look like the same person. This is all Rhea Ripley's fault. All those times, remember every week she was wrapping those thighs around Dominic's neck and squeezing like a nutcracker? Lucky SOB. Dom and Ray against Private Party. Man, what happened to Private Party? When was the last time we saw Private Party on AEW television? Last time I saw Private Party, I want to say it was in August. I think it was at High Intensity in House of Glory. They were there. And man, I'll tell you, man, especially, I think it was Mark Quinn. I have never seen him that jacked in my life. Like he was in the best shape I have ever seen him in. Like that man's on his Wheaties right now. And you just can't find him. You can't find him on TV. I don't know what's going on. All right, women's Be the Booker. We have Tori Wilson. Man, I had a crush on Tori back in her day, in her prime, when she was on TV every week in WCW and then in WWE. Most beautiful woman in all of wrestling at that time. She was something else. Tori Wilson. Man, Billy Kidman, you fumbled. Oh boy, Tori Wilson against Alexa Bliss. If I gave that the buzzer, I know Bliss fan would be very upset. Maddie said, I had the Playboy. Had? You got rid of it, huh? Were the pages sticking together? All right, men's Be the Booker. It is our main event time. This is it. You get one more match. We got to make it a good one. We have to make it a good one, and it is going to have on one side of the ring the bad guy, Razor Ramon. Never the WWF champion, but he could have been. He could have been. Razor Ramon against the world's strongest man. Look at the... Oh, he's got the jacket on. It is Mark Henry. We got a clean sweep, but look at the jacket. I just wore that. I wore that suit to the House of Glory show last week. He's got his salmon jacket. He's got a lot left in the tank. So do I. That's why I wore that jacket. Well, when you do be the booker, you hope for a clean sweep. And that's what we got tonight. Could Razor do the Razor's Edge to Mark Henry, though? No. No, I don't believe he could. He was a strong guy. I mean, Scott Hall he's a very big guy, like deceptively big. But him picking up Mark Henry in position for a Razor's Edge, that's asking a lot. Solo paid homage? Maybe. Scott Woodford, I turned 49 today. Congratulations, Scott. I met Scott on the Jericho cruise in person for the first time 5 years ago. The one and only cruise of any kind that I've ever taken in my life. And then COVID became a thing 2 months later. It was probably circulating on that ship when I was on there. We didn't even know. But I got to meet Scott. Scott, I hope you have a great birthday. And Mactub, Mick Foley or Triple H? More important to the Attitude Era, Mick Foley. Not even a question. Not even a question. The guys that he helped make include 3 of the top stars of the Attitude Era. Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H. Like, there's no debate. Like, the answer is Mick Foley. And I don't even think he gets enough credit, frankly, for the role that he played in that era and helping to get over some of the biggest stars of that era. So, there you go. Thoughts on no AEW names for this year's cruise? Doesn't really mean anything. Evidently, last year he didn't announce any AEW names until they were a little bit closer to the actual cruise, like a few months before. And this cruise is what, November of next year? I wouldn't read too much into that. Or it could just be a case where he truly hasn't made up his mind as far as what he's going to do. And to avoid any sort of potential conflict, he's holding off on announcing any AEW names until he makes a decision about what he wants to do. So I would not read too much into it. Dry Chicken says Bailey is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I hope she changes a lot of her appearances when she is in her dark side. Yeah, how about she changes her music first? How about that? How about when she comes out as a babyface and she's in a good mood, she has one theme song, and when she comes out as a heel, she has a completely different non-Def Rebel theme song. How about that? Why don't we start there? Have I ever thought about doing my own version of the Slammy Awards? I've done year-end awards. I've done them a lot over the years, not every year. So I would consider it. I mean, it is something I've done before. Yeah, we are getting very close, though, aren't we, to the end of the year? Jericho is going to TNA. I don't think TNA can afford Jericho. Charlotte's theme is worse than Bailey. Dude, it's all garbage. It's all garbage. Now that there's actually hope that Def Rebel might be out of there soon, hopefully it actually happens this time, but we can get some changes made to the music situation in WWE. Hey, Oscar, what's going on? One of our channel members. Oscar. Call you Oscar. Says, with Halloween coming up, what is Solomonster's favorite Halloween candy? Ooh, I don't know if I have a specific Halloween candy, honestly. I associate candy corn with Halloween, and I don't like candy corn. I don't like it. I haven't eaten candy corn probably in 20 years. I mean, it's just not something that appeals to me. To me, when I used to eat candy, I didn't really discriminate, but I used to really like the miniature, like Snickers and Twix bars. I guess I'll go with that. Candy bars. But I don't have those anymore. Base Beer is 34 months of channel membership. Any underrated themes that you like? BWO has a good theme. I don't remember the BWO theme. Underrated themes. I don't know. Probably. Off the top of my head, though, the only ones that are coming to mind are the ones that I really like. I wouldn't call them underrated. Think of Real American, you think of Demolition, you think of the Hart Foundation, Stone Cold, The Rock's third theme. I think it was from the WWF The Music Volume 3. So whatever version that was. And his final boss theme, I think is awesome. Just to use a more recent one. Underrated themes. I don't know if it would count as underrated, but Rob Conway's old theme is very catchy. I hate that I even brought it up because now it's going to be stuck in my head again. The one that goes, just look at me. It sounds like a Randy Newman theme. I wonder if Randy Newman actually had a hand in that theme. Sounds like something you would hear in like Toy Story. Any of Christian's themes? Yeah, Christian has some good themes. Okay, I'll give you one. You want one? I'll give you one. The Beverly Brothers. The Beverly Brothers theme song is an underrated theme song. I enjoyed that one. I'll give you another one. And you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this. Diesel's original theme. It was literally the revving of a truck engine. But it fit him so perfectly, I would get into it when he would come out. There you go. Hey, that's probably one that you won't find on too many lists. And I bring it up too because I just heard it recently. They just uploaded a few weeks ago the King of the Ring 94 title match between Diesel and Brett, which is a really good match, by the way. Probably their second best that they had. And I just watched it the other day, and Diesel came out to that fucking truck engine, and I'm like, all right, man, here we go. That's right, Big Daddy Cool. Dried Chicken says we need a TKO. We need to TKO a bag of chocolate coconut candy. Chocolate coconut candy. For some of the holidays, I remember in my old office, like Valentine's Day, somebody would buy a box of chocolates and would have it on the ledge by the front desk out front. It was like Russell Stover. And, it was one of these boxes where it was like different types of candy. It wasn't just one universal kind. And I would always pick out the ones that had the nuts in it and some of that gooey shit on the inside. I guess caramel, I guess. So those were my favorites. And then you would find one that had like some kind of weird like jelly inside or whatever. I'm like, I don't need that. Or like the coconut ones. I'm like, Base Barris, Big Boss Man has a heavy theme. Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about his original babyface theme or the one that would make people groan when he would come out in the tactical vest? Two very different themes. Yes, Tyler Breeze. Yes, his original theme in NXT. He revived it a few weeks ago when he came back. When you look at me, they are so gorgeous, they'll set you free. Could it be my walk or just my stare that makes you freeze when I appear? Super good looking, every hair in place. Everyone loves this gorgeous face. You can't deny my beauty shot. I'm everything that you are not. I told you, man. When he debuted that gimmick in NXT, I was a Tyler Breeze mark. There's something about that gimmick. I loved it. The entrance, they would show the boots as he was walking out and then do that fucking, that pan into him. We're bringing him in, baby. Now you know why we booked him. Hey, it pays to be the commissioner. We're bringing in Tyler Breeze. We're bringing in Tyler Breeze in Chicago. House of Glory, November 21st, baby. Logan Square Auditorium. We're going to be playing that fucking song. That's what we're going to be. You're going to see me at the announce booth. I'm going to be dancing when that song comes on. Can't wait. Micah, name 5 themes from current talent that you actually like. 5 themes I currently like. You know what? Rhea Ripley's current song, I like. Io Skies, I like. I mean, does CM Punk count? Cult of Personality, right? I like Cult of Personality. I like Elevate, which is Will Ospreay's theme. I like Swerve's theme. Gosh, is that 5? I think that's 5. Base Beer says the beautiful people TNA theme is great. Let them pigeons loose. Dry Chicken says also, let's send Triple H a bag of chocolate X-Lax. I guess we've moved on from the days where the fans on Reddit sent him a fruit basket. They've turned on him. Balor is a good... someone mentioned Lunatic Fringe in the chat. I really like John Moxley's original AEW theme. The instrumental one, I think it was called Unscripted Violence. And I really wish he would go back to it. Maybe he will if he ever goes back to being a baby. This Death Riders theme, when it hits, it really is. It is fucking death. But his original theme, I really like that instrumental theme a lot. Hangman, yeah, Hangman's theme is good. I like Hangman's theme. I like the heel version of it too. When he was all unhinged, he came out to like a darker version of it. I enjoyed that one too. I don't know what they did to the Judgment Day theme. They fucked that up. Who else we got? LA Knight. LA Knight's not bad. Jey Uso, I mean, I hate to say it. It is a very catchy theme. Who else we have? Let's see. I like on the women's side. Bianca. I like Bianca Belair's theme. God, when is she going to be back? Jay White's. Yeah, Jay White's got a pretty good theme in AEW. Well, I mean, it's his New Japan theme. Roman Reigns, yeah, his current song is okay. I don't like it nearly as much as the heel Tribal Chief theme. I really wish they wouldn't have changed away from that. Role model. No, that is not one of them. Mactub is Triple H's insecurity blocking Roman Reigns' elite face run. No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Hey, Dried Chicken, have a good night, my friend. Thank you for the love. Kenny Omega's New Japan. Actually, Kenny Omega's theme. Not that Final Fantasy one that he has. Like his actual, like, original AEW song. That's a good song. Man, we just don't have enough of them. We just don't have enough just banger theme songs in wrestling. There should be more. It's really sad. Anyway, thank you guys. Always fun hanging out with you here on these live streams. We had our one round to be the booker, and we got a clean sweep. So hopefully we'll be able to get that again when we come back here live. That will be on Monday for the Raw post show. Again, the Wrestle Dream review will not be live. I will include that when I record episode 934. It's going to be a big episode on Sunday. Going to be talking Andrade. Going to be talking Seth Rollins and his injury situation and the Braun Breaker angle. We'll be talking Wrestle Dream exclusive to the Sound Off on Sunday, and a bunch of other news and notes and your questions for the mailbag. So that'll be coming up on Sunday. Do I remember when they remixed Mankind's theme? I don't, but I do remember The Rock coming out to a version of his music in '99, literally 1 week, and they never used it again. And in fairness, it really wasn't that good. So I don't blame them for not using it. But if you look it up, again, it was 1 week on Raw, and I don't think it was ever used again. Which was for the better. What is Jim Johnston? You know what? I got to get in touch with Jim Johnston. Maybe I can get Jim Johnston to do like a custom Solomonster theme here for the channel. How cool would that be? Probably pie in the sky, but that would be pretty badass. Anyway, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great week. And I forgot these were paused. We'll let these run through here. I forgot the last batch here were paused on the screen. Booker T had that awful "Can You Dig It" theme. What are you talking about? The sound effect at the beginning of his song? There's nothing wrong with that. Never say never. You never know, I guess, but I don't know. I'm sure Jim has more important things to do, but can you imagine we got like a custom, like I talk to him and give him some information about like what we do, what I do here, and get a custom Jim Johnston composed theme song here for the Sound Off. Base Beerus says, interview Jim. It's been a while since I've done an interview. I've interviewed so many people, so many cool people. It's been a while. That could be cool. That's his Harlem Heat theme song, right? Yeah, but Harlem Heat's music was like, you're talking about Harlem Heat when they were like with Sherry. They had great music. Wonder how much he would charge for an interview. I don't pay for interviews. For a song, I don't know how much he would charge for that. But for an interview, no, I don't pay people for interviews. All the interviews I've ever done, I don't. If you don't want to talk to me for free, then we have nothing to talk about. I don't begrudge people who do pay for them, but it's not how I do things. West Coast James is with us. Shout out to James. Mr. Herrera. 52 months. We need to tell Jim Johnston to produce something epic for the Solomonster. He'll be like, what kind of monster? He'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? That would be his reaction would be kind of funny, I will say. But hey, stranger things have happened. You never know. Thank you, Luis. I appreciate the support. Again, congrats on your Dodgers winning. I wish I could say the same for my Mets, but that will have to wait for another year. Be well. Stay safe. And I will see you back here for the Raw post show live here on YouTube on Monday night. Until then, take care, guys.
Mentos, the Fresh Maker.
Oh, you got the post credits. It's like a fucking Marvel movie. Look at this. Leopoldo. You talk about the clutch. Leopoldo with a $30 drop as I was about to disconnect here. Unbelievable. Does feel like a Marvel movie, doesn't it? Just getting out of the Dodger World Series clinching sweep. It says, of course, thought of y'all. That being said, here's a toast. Here's a toast to the storks that bring good babies, the ravens that bring bad babies, and the swallows that bring no babies. Yes, indeed. Leopoldo with a very interesting message there at the end. Congrats. And with that, I bid you farewell.